Step two, discover the best brain meal plan. Because sometimes using your brain to figure out what to eat for your brain poses a couple challenges. Here are the challenges that I usually see. And of course, I want to tell you, I've been there trudging through these obstacles. The vicious restriction cycle. For me, it was restrict, binge, remorse, repeat. Restrict, binge, remorse, repeat. And I'm just going to get a little vulnerable. I remember a time in my life where I could tell you the caloric amount of any food within 4 feet of me and was exercising a little bit too much because I didn't feel attractive enough to my partner at the time. Not the healthiest situation in the world. And I weighed myself several times a day. And if I just happened to use the restroom, I thought that was the pound that made me feel overweight. I'd go weigh myself again, and it just wasn't healthy. And I got down to a pretty low weight, and my family was concerned. And luckily for me, I was able to pull myself out of it after that relationship ended. And I have seen a lot of clients that do struggle with their food behaviors and their food choices, how they see themselves and body dysmorphia and the stress around food. And so if you're struggling with those cycles surrounding food and exercise and the way that your body looks, and you can't do it on your own, it's okay to seek professional help. Please do that. So I love educating people about their food and their mental health. And I also know when to refer out to a different practitioner. So if that cycle is harming you, I want to help you by encouraging you to find a professional that can navigate you through that. A therapist or psychologist or even a dietitian with experience in eating disorders would be my suggestion. And of course, there's tons of groups as well, so you don't feel so alone. It's unfortunately, it's kind of common because of the pressures of society or family or upbringing or media, whatever the cause may be. It is something that I see a lot of people deal with. And there's so many resources, there's so much help, and you can get through that, I promise. You can keep those relationships that you create and put them on your co-pilots list. That's another module in this course, just all about getting a team of people around you, getting a squad to help you smash your goals. So I've definitely been there, and I want you to get the help that you deserve. And if it is just a cycle and like you can break it, then I'm here to help you. I'm here for you. And the second one, eating emotionally. I have definitely been there, eating all of my feelings, all the feelings. And I've also been so tired that I immediately reach for that fast fuel, those sugary, carby things, and then I crash afterwards. And I've also been in places where I've been so anxious that I didn't want to eat and so depressed that I didn't want to eat. So I know what it's like to not eat out of a low mental state. And I know these challenges and they can be tough, but you are tougher. You can do hard things. The other thing that I had to go through was a plethora of information to figure out who actually had the background and the information that I wanted. And no offense if you're an influencer at all, if that's your hustle, I think it's beautiful if you're influencing people in a positive way. My brain and my values really just gravitate to people that do a lot of their own research, that have some science background, and usually a personal experience because I don't know, it makes me feel like they get it a little bit more and they're educated. So that's why I showed you the 3 pros earlier in this module. Dr. Gottfried, Dr. Ramsey, and Dr. Naidoo, they create programs not only just backed by science to support your brain, but that are also sustainable because they understand the psychology of food as well. And so I included each of these doctors for a specific reason. So Dr. Ramsey focuses more on the role of specific nutrients in foods and brain health. So I love that. And Dr. Naidoo focuses on the impact of specific foods and the food-mood correlation. She's really, really big on the microbiome. So how your gut helps to control your mood. And she really has a big focus on anxiety. So we'll talk about that too. And I added Dr. Gottfried because you might be able to choose all of these foods for your brain and your mental health. But if your hormones aren't balanced or you don't know you have allergies, it could make it a lot more challenging for yourself. So I like Dr. Gottfried because she focuses on hormones. So if I'm working one-on-one with clients, I usually have my clients get a lot of testing done so they have a baseline measurement before they start a nutritional program, and they can talk to their doctor, their MD, their dietitian. So that way we have a brief overview of what's going on. And I highly recommend that you talk to doctor, dietitian, nutritionist, endocrinologist, whoever you think can do all of that blood work for you and get that testing done. So you can see where your baseline is. An allergy specialist if you feel like you might have some food sensitivities. Work with your doctor on your nutrition, especially if you plan to take on any supplements or foods you haven't tried before. I love teaching, but I'm not here to treat or cure any illness at all. Remember, blazer, not a lab coat. We will discover the best brain meal plan for you without giving up carbs forever. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I was so afraid I would have to give up my favorite foods forever if I wanted to be mentally healthy or if I wanted my gut to be okay. And I didn't have to. Woohoo! Let's talk about some brilliant foods for your brain and body. And of course, it all comes down to your gut. Did you know that 90% of your serotonin is found in your gut and that 70% of your immune system is there as well? This is why people keep saying that the brain gut axis is a literal thing and that your gut is your second brain and that food is medicine. Catch on. So I created this little infographic just to give you a basic overview of some of my favorite categories: fats, fruits, vegetables, herbs, water, carbohydrates, yes, and proteins. Brain food for your brain organ. Remember when we talked about food isn't just fuel, it's building material and information. So for your brain to function at its best as an organ, you want to give it good building material and good instructions. So these are basic categories. So if you simply wanted to check off some of the boxes in each of these categories, this is a lovely way of doing things for those of you that kind of know what you already like, or maybe you like to cook, you're already creative in the kitchen, and you can just pick something from each one of these categories and create your own menu. So fats like olive oil, avocados, MCT oil, like medium chain triglycerides, walnuts, almonds, flax seeds, chia seeds, they're all a great source of fat. I do want you to be careful with these kinds of fat, specifically for coconut oil and MCT oil, because they can cause some challenges if you already have heart disease in your family. So keep that in mind. But overall, fats like omega-3 fatty acids that are found like EPA, DHA, and ALA, and the balance of those really matters, by the way. All of those fats support brain function. They reduce inflammation, they may improve your mood, and very long chain saturated fatty acids from like nuts and dairy, they may actually slow cognitive decline, similar to omega-3s. And keep in mind too that about 60% of your brain's solid weight is fat. So fat is crucial for optimal functioning. So all these low fat diets, I'm like, no, your brain needs it. Fruits, like all of the berries, all of them, like blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, those are my favorite. And there's also citrus fruits and tomatoes and grapes. So those are rich in antioxidants and nutrients that protect against cognitive decline as well. Vegetables, especially cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, they're rich in antioxidants too, and also have those cancer-fighting benefits because it helps your body produce something called DIM. I love Brussels sprouts and dark leafy greens like spinach and kale and arugula are really good for brain function too. If you want to consider a mushroom, that's a really good thing to think about too. Like lion's mane and turkey tail are great because they have adaptogenic properties. So adaptogenic, think it's helping your brain not be so tired, and it's resilient with stress. So that's adaptogenic. Some herbs actually have that too. And some herbs have neuroprotective properties and can enhance your cognitive function. Other things are like turmeric are really good for fighting inflammation. Turmeric is really great for your gut, your liver, all kinds of things. I love turmeric. And green tea is actually a really wonderful antioxidant and adaptogen. Rhodiola has adaptogenic herbs. It's also, I'm not here to treat or cure or say replace your medication, but rhodiola has found to be a natural anti-anxiety antidepressant. So I love rhodiola. I take it almost every day. Not all the time, but I really do love it. But it helps fight off brain fatigue. Things like ginseng and ginkgo biloba have been found helpful for like memory and focus. Lemon balm and tarragon, rosemary and sage, they can reduce inflammation and potentially lower anxiety. My favorite proteins for your brain are usually fish. I love some fish. They're high in omega, like salmon and mackerel and sardines. But I also like poultry, like turkey specifically, because it has that L-tryptophan. Everybody's like, turkey makes you sleepy. Yes, but it's also helping you with that building block of serotonin. That's where that L-tryptophan comes in. Pro tip, I use turkey the week before my period, and then I lower the foods that are high in histamine. That's a whole different course, but I want to give you that pro tip here. Also eggs. Eggs are a fantastic protein, the whole egg, the yolk too. So it has every essential amino acid you can think of, and choline is really good for your brain too. So eggs are fantastic. Plant-based proteins are good too, especially from beans and legumes, because they can have some protective effects against cognitive decline and some just inflammation. And they can also give your energy a little boost. So I put those in the carbohydrate section as well. But protein in general, just in case you're not a meat eater, beans and legumes can get you there too. And protein is essential. I think people will forget about this, but it's essential for neurotransmitter production and brain function. So you need those. Carbohydrates, remember, sugar, like processed sugar is a rare food. So I put dark chocolate on here just to win back some friends because it does have antioxidant properties on it. So 90%, if you can handle the dark chocolate. I had to wean my taste buds onto dark chocolate. I was not a fan because I really like the processed stuff, but now I love it. I really did evolve as an eater, as Dr. Ramsey would say. So as far as carbohydrates go, like do your best to limit gluten if you can, because here in the US, it has been shown to have some inflammatory effects, and complex carbohydrates over the simple carbohydrates. So complex carbohydrates are great for just like a good way to maintain energy. I'm gonna put sweet potatoes up here too, because they have a superpower with the skin. I like the sweet potatoes with the skin. Be careful with the carbs too, because a high carb diet they have found that lower carbohydrates in your diet can actually lower your risk for dementia long term if we're thinking longevity, right? And if it's high carbs, it can lead to a lot of mood swings if you are experiencing things like ADHD and anxiety. Keeping the carbohydrates a little bit lower is a little bit more helpful for me anyway. And finally, water. Proper hydration is crucial for optimal brain health. You've got to have some mental clarity. If you're dehydrated, it's so funny. People will be like, oh man, I'm like so brain foggy. And I'm like, have you drank some water? That's my best friend's favorite thing. She will actually send me little gifts of like ducks. Have you drank your water? It's hilarious. Anyway, dehydration negatively impacts your cognitive performance and your mood. So if you're feeling like, ugh, I'm in this funk, like drink some water first. See how that goes. And I want you to think about too, if water is the messenger for a plethora of chemical reactions in your body, then you need to make sure you have a lot of messengers. So I recommend half your weight of pounds in ounces per day. So there it is. There's some information to digest so you can assess and progress. So this is just one way of planning your meals by looking at these categories and creating your own menu, if that's the way you want to go. Here's that food journal I was telling you about. So on the left, I left it blank for you. It's just, one example you can use if it makes it easy for you. There are plenty of free downloadable food journals and PDFs, or you can just use a simple piece of paper. You can take pictures of your food. You can write it in your notes. But what I love for people to do is write it down, what they ate, what time they ate it, and then rate how they felt. And you can rate how you feel based physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever you'd like to track and improve, because you can't train what you don't track. On the right side is the Brain Foods menu. I'll have one available for you that's blank as well, so you can fill it in with your own favorite foods. But this one I filled in with some of Dr. Ramsey's favorite picks. He has these favorite 8 categories. So leafy greens, the nuts, grains, and seeds. Let me see, the meat, good gut bugs, very important. Rainbows. I always tell my clients, eat the rainbow in a week at first, and then if you can eat the rainbow in a day, awesome. Seafood, eggs and fats, and grains. So that's how he categorizes it. It's a different way of doing it, and I love it. I got that out of the Eat to Beat Depression and Anxiety book. It's really good. So I wanted to give you this kind of option as well. So this kind of plan where you have the foods already filled in with your brain foods works really well for someone who just needs it narrowed down. They don't want to have to think about what ingredients to get, but they want to have a little bit more control over how they put it together. So that way you can have a little bit more autonomy about that. So what I like about Dr. Ramsey's approach that he works with one-on-one with his clients, he starts really, really small. So he starts actually with dark leafy greens, 1 cup of leafy greens a day for the first week. And then the next week, you start changing in and adding in new behaviors. And I really love adding in rainbows. I love adding in things because now you're giving your body what it needs rather than going back to that emotional restrict mindset. You're adding things in. So while you are ditching the process, replacing it and adding in things, making it a goal to add things in rather than take things away, it really helps, what I've seen, psychologically shift some behaviors. I also really like Dr. Ramsey. He helps people slowly evolve as an eater. So if you haven't really loved kale, he's a huge kale fan. And I was not, and I read his book and I tried it, and he's actually really good at it. He's got some really good recipes in there. But I like that he helps people evolve their tastes. And as you change and grow, you can change and grow your menu. So this is an even simpler way. If you're focused on relieving anxiety, the most simple way I've seen is Dr. Nadu's anxiety plate, where it's just 50% of your plate is vegetables. Keeps it really simple, especially if you're anxious about what you should be eating. Really easy way to look at it is just like 50% of your vegetables. She has a more lenient approach. So this is something you can think about. She likes the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time, you're eating things off of something like this menu. 20% of the time, it's a little bit more lenient. That can be daily 80-20, or that can be a weekly 80-20. Either way. But she is also very big about the gut, that microbiome. So making sure that you're at least taking a look on the good gut bug section of the Brain Foods menu, because you've got to populate your gut with prebiotics, probiotics, and postbiotics. Yes, those are all a thing, especially if you just went through a round of antibiotics. Repopulate your gut, recolonize your gut. So not all probiotics are made for everyone. There are specific strains. There's a whole different conversation that you can add in there, but look it up, talk to a professional, and send me a message. I might be able to help you out. But having a healthy gut, good microbiome will support those neurotransmitters that are manufactured and delivered from your gut, as well as maintaining a healthy immune system and decreasing inflammation. You can eat food for your mood. And you can also look into the MIND diet, which stands for the Mediterranean Intervention for Neurodegenerative Delay. I know, that's a mouthful, but it's designed to promote brain health and reduce the risk of cognitive decline like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. I do have an older population that I work with, so they like things like the MIND diet or the Blue Zone diet, things like that. But Mediterranean is the best aspect. It's naturally an anti-inflammatory diet. You can consider stress and the stress hormones in your brain as inflammation in your brain. So if I'm having high highs and low lows, or mood swings or irritability, and I'm not getting enough sleep, then the anti-inflammatory diet precautions can be really helpful. So it's basically the same tenets that we've already gone over. Also, if you really want to just not think about it, you just tell me what to eat, Dana. I have created a 7-day Mediterranean diet with a grocery list and recipes in the workbook. So I've done it all for you. So it's a great little Google Doc. You just click on it. There's a grocery list. You know exactly what you need to get, all the measurements and everything. So, and as far as that goes, if you do look at the recipes, you don't have to follow every single meal tablespoon by tablespoon. It's there to inspire you to make some healthy, creative choices. So if it sparks inspiration, awesome. You don't have to follow it, word for word. So that menu is available for those of you who just don't want to think about it, and you don't want to think about what ingredients are there. You don't want to have to make the list. It's already made for you. So if that's the type that you want, that's what you got. So now you have your choices. You could start with loosely knowing the categories of foods that you'd like, create your own menu, create your own grocery list. You can choose what you like from something like the Brain Foods menu here, and then create your menu from that. Or you can go straight for the menu that I created for you. Either way, whatever works best for you, definitely track your food with a food journal for at least a week. I know you can. When you take your power back over your food choices and your food behaviors, you will take your power back over your moods and potentially illnesses that are nutrition related. I'm excited for you to feel more focused and at peace and accomplished. It's going to encourage your self-esteem, and you're going to feel a lot more confident so you can smash your goals that are outside of the kitchen. You've got this.